So what if I told you there's already a detailed step-by-step plan written, funded, and ready to go that could completely reshape the U.S. government?
I'm sold. Sign me up.
Wouldn't there be a bunch of those plans?
Well, this one is a plan to overhaul how Washington works, dismantle federal agencies, consolidate power under the presidency, and roll back those pesky regulations on everything from business to education.
I'd say finally, because I've been wanting to dump my antifreeze in the public waterways for a very long time, and damn, these fucking regulations have stopped me.
Well, now you can.
Good.
It's true. Doesn't have to be antifreeze. You could do waste now.
Yeah, but I prefer dumping my toxic chemicals, you know?
Because of the colors? You let people know that you're dumping waste?
I want our fish to be very colorful.
And, yeah, iridescent. There's nothing like...
And if they ingest enough antifreeze, then when the water freezes in the winter, they have no issues.
So you're really giving back.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking ahead.
Or behind. What are those two?
So to others, this might be a power grab, a blueprint for bypassing democratic checks and balances. They call it Project 2025. But what exactly is it? I'm not dumb, but what's Project 2025?
Welcome
To the I'm Not Dumb, But
podcast, where we won't claim to have the answers to life's deepest questions,
But we'll give you an exciting journey
into the realms of knowledge
you never knew you needed.
might be mainstream.
but not common knowledge. From artificial intelligence to conspiracy theories, no topic is too taboo for us to explore. Let's get curious together.
I'm Rob, your host for today, joined by the man who's poised to become America's first Dominican president, Caesar,
Yo.
the lifeblood of this podcast, Victor.
How y'all doing?
And of course, INDB's official background noise, Chris. That's him in the background.
He's like our laugh track.
All right, so why are we talking about this? You guys know about it? You hear about it?
I have heard about it, yes.
You have heard about it.
No, I never heard this.
Jesus Christ, people. Do you guys know what's going on
Chris
in the world?
doesn't care about anything.
Chris is still buying Nestle bars.
Listen, Chris's nest egg is so big. He's this is mere nothing to him. Peanuts.
He's one of the Korean oligarchs.
Yeah.
He's the heir to
Ooh,
Samsung.
yeah, there we go.
You never know.
It's a tax leak. It's incredibly accurate. Every time you look at it, it tells you exactly how rich you are.
So when Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016, he came in with big promises. You guys remember that? Drain the swamp, shake things up, put America first. But once in office, he kind of ran into the hard reality that the federal government is massive and slow moving. So whether you see that as checks or balances or the deep state, Trump struggled and ran into some resistance along the way. So conservatives, they don't want to repeat this experience. This time, the goal is to hit the ground running with a plan to ensure every agency, policy, and key position is aligned for their vision on day one. So that's where Project 2025 comes in. It's not just a set of ideas, it's a fully developed strategy to overhaul the federal government and push through conservative policies.
I actually read some of the things that they wanted to do. And to be honest, I kind of stopped reading it halfway in it because I was like, this is really dark.
Oh, really?
This kind of like, yeah, this is kind of like,
Wow.
I was like, ugh.
This is not good.
So pretty much it's like a Trump's plan, technically?
It is not Trump's plan. So let's get into the background here, right? It is not Trump's plan. So Project 2025 is actually led by a conservative think tank called the Heritage Foundation. It was co-authored with like 140 former Trump administration officials, and it's backed by like 100 affiliated conservative organizations, had like a $22 million budget behind it to create this initiative. So this isn't the first time the conservative administration used a policy blueprint. Actually, in 1980s, the same Heritage Foundation provided Ronald Reagan with the Mandate for Leadership. And that was an 1,100-page guide to reshaping the federal government, very similar to Project 2025. And Reagan took it seriously. His administration actually adopted 2/3 of the 2,000 recommendations of this Mandate for Leadership. So Project 2025 is the ramped up new version that builds on the legacy, but with a lot more urgent and maybe aggressive approaches. At the heart of this plan, it has four things, which are called the conservative promises. And that is restoring the family as the foundation of American life, dismantling the administrative or deep state, defending national sovereignty by securing our borders, and protecting individual rights and constitutional freedoms. How does that sound to you?
I don't know what most of that means to me.
Yeah, me neither.
Really? It's pretty
Because
straightforward.
it goes one way, and then the application of it is completely opposite.
What was the first one again? What was the first two?
So they plan to restore the family as the foundation of American life. They're basically advocating for. So they're advocating for traditional.
Hold on. Let me ask my fucking question. Just let me ask.
So what question, bro? It's not about you.
There's a lot to go through. There's a lot to unpack there. So what does recentering American life around the family, has it not been around the family? Like what did it shift towards?
Dude, it shifted, I think, maybe.
It shifted?
Yeah, it shifted.
So what? The fact that I can't afford anything and barely can afford to have a family, or the fact that my life revolves around work?
The problem with you is you're not having the right family. Okay, you need we need to restore the family.
I need less cats.
What is
that
a family?
trying to say?
Yes.
Less cats, then I'm out.
I just don't understand where that shift was. Are people not wanting to have families?
I think they want to go with the traditional family structure, is what they're trying to say.
Ah, yes.
I can't afford that.
A mom, a dad, and 2.5 children.
How much is a kid?
It's a lot of money, bro.
A lot of money. Do you get a lot back on your taxes, though?
No.
Up till what age is the average amount spent on a child?
Oh, it's got to be like $300,000-$400,000 up to 18 years old. Probably, if more.
If not more. I don't make that kind of extra cash and can afford a house and a fucking car.
Have you looked into egg alternatives like oatmeal?
Yeah. Egg whites? Do you still buy your avocado toast?
No, I have to give that
Good,
up.
because after Mexico's tariffs, they're going to go up.
Avocados.
Thank you very much.
It says 330,000 on average for a child born to age 18.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. All right, so bring family first, okay? The second one is get rid of the administration.
Dismantle the administrative state.
Now, what does that mean?
Well, you said deep state at first.
Yes, it's a dismantle the administrative state, or what they like to call the deep state.
So I don't understand what you mean by that.
So the deep state, the way this is kind of written up, is basically the administrative portions or people within bureaucracy or who are holding it up. Federal workers could be part of the deep state. Programs, administratives in programs that are wasting money and holding things up. And
what programs are wasting money? Now, are we talking about the Department of Defense? Or are we talking about Social Security?
And I think it really depends on your definition of waste.
I mean, I'm not denying that there's somewhat amount of waste happening, but I am highly skeptical that there's so much waste that it's bankrupting the country.
No, I feel like sometimes when they say that, they kind of conflate two different things: waste and getting rid of the people who are in the way. A lot of the times in application, it's regulators who are trying to do their job in preventing something from happening.
Mm-hmm.
So they're putting both of them together. A lot of the times they're not separating each issue.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say deep state, sometimes I'm like, so what exactly are they talking about? Are they talking about regulations or actually getting rid of waste?
I think the idea would be to reduce federal agencies and cutting regulations so they can shift authority to elected officials and state governments or private entities.
But those agencies are in place because of something happened in the history, right? For a reason.
Right. Very rarely is government proactive. It's mostly reactive.
Right. So how does Project 2025 plan to achieve this? Have you heard, do you know much about the structure of it?
I'm assuming Doge is part of it, right? Is it Doge entirely?
No, actually, there's nothing that says anything about Doge in here.
Really?
And their plan, it is transparent. It is on their website. You can get a free copy of the PDF. It's 900 pages long. You could read through the whole thing. And it tells a step-by-step guide on what the plan is. Like it is as transparent as you could possibly want to be.
Why did they originally have it kind of like secret? And why were a lot of people kind of like turning away from it?
So it wasn't really secret. The problem was that near the end of like the presidential run, when Trump was like really starting to big up, the Democrats, it started getting out on TikTok, obviously, is where we get all our information on. And the Democrats jumped on it and were like, oh my God, this is a major talking point that we could have brought up to basically say like, this is this crazy authoritarian type of plan that they had. And they only started using it like the last 2 to 3 months of the campaign. And you heard about it, then Trump got elected and it doesn't really matter anymore. So the idea is to ensure from day one, the future conservative administration has a clear plan to enact policies and to reflect these principles. But here's where things get interesting. So Donald Trump has publicly stated that he knows nothing about Project 2025 and has distanced himself from it, which is what Caesar was saying.
Right.
As you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025.
But instead, he has his own government overhaul plan called Agenda 47, which he says will be his defining vision for his second term. So while there's a clear overlap, which we'll see between Trump's, Agenda 47, Project 2025, you guys let me know at the end of the day what your thought here is. But it's been out there. I mean, if you really think about it, this plan, this idea has been around since the 1980s. Absolutely nothing new.
I wouldn't say it's been around since 1980s, but every year a project comes out from this foundation. So there was a Project 2024, there was a Project 2023. Like every year, this think tank gets together and goes, we need to come up with a plan to push a conservative agenda.
Isn't one of the main architects of Project 2025 in the Trump administration?
Yes. Multiple authors of Project 2025 are actually in Trump's administration.
Who's the big dog? I forgot his name.
Russell Vought is the former director
That's the name.
Office of Management and Budget.
From The Boys?
Yeah. So Vought is actually part of this.
Vought are the ones that fucking created the cunt.
They say that he co-authored this, and I think he wrote like one chapter. But a lot of people kind of put their input in it. Up until this point, we've been talking about how the idea of this is to restructure policy and, reform bureaucrats and all this stuff. But there's a lot of policies in here that are kind of radical that go beyond tax cuts and regulation. So one of them is actually in Project 2025 is banning pornography entirely. So this group basically says that the federal government should regulate and restrict access to adult content. Rolling back same-sex marriage protections, completely get rid of that. Restricting contraception access, completely getting rid of that. And federal crackdowns on woke corporations, pushing for regulations to punish companies for engaging in diversity or LGBTQ initiatives. So it's a little bit more than that. There are some very, very, radical ideas in this thing. Maybe that's why a lot of the conservatives kind of backed away from it because, you know what I mean?
I think one of them was something about registering. If you've gotten an abortion, it needs to be registered. And then conservative push back and be like, it doesn't say register. It just says your name needs to be on a list. And then like, you're just looking at them like, that's registering.
Totally different. We didn't use an R.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a list. It's a nice list. It's like a Post-it. You're really just putting it on a Post-it. So we can refer to it later on.
And document it.
I'm like a smart person.
We now know what Project 2025 is, but how are they going to do this? The way they break out their plan is they break it into 4 pillars.
Ooh, I like pillars. Chris, do you like pillars? You're an engineer.
Sure, I guess.
Chris is like,
Chris doesn't care.
yeah, just Chris.
If the pillars aren't made of money, he doesn't
Chris, there's
care.
a red telephone sign on the bottom of your thing. Just click that.
I'm so bored.
So 1 is is reforming policy. 2 is the presidential personnel database. 3 is training. And 4 is their 180-day playbook. So pillar 1, the policy agenda. This is the idea where one of the loudest talking points of you guys probably heard is like DEI and woke indoctrination, right? So there's a lot of policy.
That's another thing I don't understand. But
I don't understand that either.
I don't know what woke means. And I'm liberal. I don't understand what woke means. Do you guys know what woke means?
Yeah. Because I don't quite understand.
It's past tense of wake.
Then I definitely don't know.
Well, then I'll shut my mouth.
Money don't sleep. Neither do I, player.
Why don't you wake up, bro?
No, but like, does woke mean stop making fun of gay people? Because if that's the case, then okay, isn't that good? Like, don't we not want to berate people for their sexuality?
Not unless it's their belief. I feel like a lot of the times it's like, okay, this is what I believe. This is what I grew up with. If it deviates slightly from what I believe and I think, then I consider it woke.
This is what I know. I remember when we were in school, when we were kids, if we thought you were gay, if we had the inkling, if there was a rumor, we would berate you and fucking make fun of you. And if that doesn't exist anymore, I think the world is better off, because that was a horrible time.
That's woke talk right there.
Is that woke
That's
talk?
woke talk.
Well, in that case, the world should be woke. If that's the fucking case.
Yeah.
I mean, people shouldn't be made fun of for who they are. I'll be honest with you. I don't understand the gender thing, but if I meet someone and they go, hey, I'm a they, them, I'll be like, okay, cool. If I somehow use pronouns when talking to you, I will refer to you as they, them. The same thing that if I meet you and I say, hey, my name's Victor, and you decide to call me Brett, we're going to have a problem because I told you my fucking name.
I'm going to take him as disrespect. Watch your mouth.
You know, I feel like there's an undertone of like religion, which triggers people.
Mm-hmm.
That whole they, them, the pronouns, all that stuff. But then there's another part of me that's just like, people think it's stupid. And because they think it's stupid, they don't want to change. And they don't want to accept it. I could be wrong, because I don't really understand this whole woke thing. Or
I don't think many people do. Don't things get muddied up and weird? Like, don't we need structure?
Muddied up how?
Because you're a helicopter.
If I want to be called a helicopter, call me a
But
fucking
you're not
helicopter.
a helicopter.
Not with that fucking attitude.
Yep.
you'll never
You're
be.
not, and you never will be, all right?
Here's the thing. Why don't people, like, we're from New York. Why don't people mind their fucking business? Okay. If I come up to you and I say, hey, I'm this. Okay, cool. I'm going to go back to minding my own fucking business.
I don't know.
Another large issue is when it stems into children. They say children being confused or confusing children into who exactly they are.
Mm-hmm.
And as parents, you're kind of trying to stop that.
It's not pretty much the same thing as like to learn. It's like a lesson learned kind of thing. You do it, you fail, you hurt yourself, and then you're like, that was probably a bad idea, so I won't do that again, kind of thing. So as a child, you go through whatever phase you have to go through, and you realize, that was okay. Okay, I guess that was not cool. And like you kind of like figuring out by yourself.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but like, what if it goes too far? And what if you're doing it to protect your child because you know you're making a wrong decision here, and you might regret it later?
You can't make someone's mind up for them, even if it's your child.
But if your child doesn't even have their brain fully formed yet, and they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
But what are you trying to get them to do or not do?
I'm just throwing the idea out there. Like, it can go to many extremes. Like, when I grew up, I wanted to be a basketball player, right? I was like, I'm going to go into the NBA. You know what my dad said to me? He had a talk with me one day. He said, listen, you're like barely 5 foot. Like, he laid it all out for me. At the end of the day, you know what I realized? There's no way in hell I'm going to be a basketball player. So I should probably go to school and probably get an education, because it's just not going to be me, no matter how hard I try.
I think that's kind of fucked up, to be honest.
I mean, I turned out fine.
That's
out
fucked
just
up.
fine, right? I mean, I never
fucked up.
thought about that very often for the entire rest of my life.
Doesn't even crumple paper anymore to throw it in the garbage.
Yeah,
Doesn't even say Kobe.
you know what? If it's on the other side, I'll get up and throw it in the trash can.
And I said, okay, Pop. But he didn't really say that. He said, stop being a fucking dinosaur and get a job.
So pillar 1 is the policy agenda, the idea of reshaping the government. So one of the policies is eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in the government. So some of the potential benefits that people might say is that it ensures a hiring process based on qualifications and experiences, where others might say, hey, this removes a lot of safeguards for discrimination and actually can make it harder for people from marginalized communities to advance in the government.
Can I make a note here, though? Because like, when they say that, when you are hiring, that is your main focus. What these programs or these initiatives tried to do was get people with the same credentials who may not have had the same chance as someone else. A lot of these companies, they hire from within, they hire from the same stock, the same group. So if you're not in that little club, you're not going to be able to be looked at. It's not hiring someone of less experience. It's actually hiring someone with the same amount of experience, just with a different viewpoint.
I think where one of these issues comes from is that is the idea, but that is not the way it actually goes down in the hiring process. So you are looking for qualified candidates and you do want to afford everyone this position. But it doesn't actually pan out that way. It ends up going other ways sometimes in order to check a box.
Because there's a policy or there's a diversity that factors in.
So out of 10 hires, 1 has to be a specific type of race, and then 9 can be whatever.
And this is seen all throughout. But
there's no box to check. All the program is saying, all the DEIA is saying, we need to advertise this to communities that you wouldn't normally advertise this job to. Mm-hmm. But the qualifications are the same. Now, if you're taking it internally as, hey, I need to hire someone of a specific race, then that's on you. That's not what the program's doing.
Yes,
you're doing
that. That is what that person is doing. And I think that's what ends up happening in some cases, which is where this,
but then the issue is not with the
program.
From. The issue is not with the program. The issue is with you.
I don't know if that's the case.
You're saying, hey, listen, you guys gave me the tools to hire these other people. I feel like you want me to hire these other people. That's not what they're saying.
I think the problem is in the implementation. From what I've heard on the other side is that, yes, this is a nice idea, but the way it's being implemented is probably not correct.
Is there any number or any evidence of it not being implemented correctly?
Yes. I mean, I don't have it, but there is.
Okay.
And people have said that in their hiring processes, they feel that.
Where can I find such information?
I don't think you're going to find information like that.
I think you're confusing DEI with affirmative action.
Okay, I don't know what affirmative action is.
Affirmative action is what you're talking about, this over this person.
Mm-hmm. And DEI is a pilot, right?
Yeah, a bad one.
The worst guy.
So affirmative action specifically targets underrepresented groups in hiring and education.
Okay.
So affirmative action is Harvard going, we need X Asians in our fucking classroom.
Mm-hmm.
DEI is just saying, hey, listen, we need to promote whatever job posting out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And then when we go to hire them, we'll do whatever we want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Pillar 1. Well, Pillar 1, some of the policies are limiting diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, expanding the executive power, and weakening federal oversight. And we've seen some of these cases where some of the benefits of this is basically the idea is creating a more efficient government by ensuring agencies quickly implement presidential policies. Some of the things that, we talked about in our executive orders episodes. But on the back end, they're saying that this, this growing power in the executive branch, this threatens the independence of key agencies. And then you start cutting serious programs or places like NOAA or the EPA, and they can have serious long-term consequences.
Yeah, fuck the weather, dude.
I mean, NOAA's a pretty big deal. After we did that episode, I think that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, don't take me with my AccuWeather.
What storm?
Pillar 2, the Presidential Personnel Database. And I actually think this is pretty awesome. So the second pillar is all about staffing the government. Who gets hired, who gets fired, and how to make sure a conservative administration has the right people from day one. It's literally what they have in there. So to streamline this process, the Heritage Foundation contracted with Oracle to create a hiring program platform where conservative professionals can upload their resumes and complete a survey with questions like, where did you hear about Project 2025? Name one public policy figure whom you greatly admire and why. And the U.S. has the right to select immigrants based on country of origin. Agree or disagree? Basically, it's a conservative LinkedIn. You upload your resume, you get part of this personnel, you are vetted by questions to see what your ideology is. And then if you are placed in here, the administration that comes in can say, these are the people you're going to hire. So you guys have probably heard of Schedule F.
Yes.
No.
One of the executive orders that Trump had put in his first 2016 was basically this idea of being able to fire civil servants. So there was a bunch of career civil servants who are probably doing a lot of administrative jobs, and they are, quote unquote, the deep state. So the idea is that if you can get rid of them and replace them with political appointees that you can get from your conservative LinkedIn, then a lot of the things that you want to get done are going to get done faster. Now, the one thing I thought about with removing people is, do you just do this every 4 years? Like you just lay off a bunch of like federal, like how is that efficient?
A lot of the times whoever heads an agency might get replaced by like whatever Democratic or Republican.
Well, they can't fire. I don't think there's certain agency heads that they cannot fire. So they'd have to resign.
Independent ones. He was trying to fire, I think Trump was trying to fire the head of
the Federal Reserve was one of them.
Yeah, that's an independent agency, so you can't really fire them. But it wouldn't be efficient for you to come in every 4 years
and just replace everybody.
Everybody, which never happens because there's a lot of Trump appointees, Biden appointees, even like you mentioned, career government people that just stay within every administration. And think about it, like you want that. In terms of efficiency, why would you want to put someone in who has no idea what they're doing potentially into a position and just restart all over every 4 years?
But like, I agree with that. But like if Victor was president, then I step in and you're his boys, you're going to give me a hard time.
I think what a lot of the times happens is the head of the agency. You're seeing it now with Department of Education. What's her name? Linda McMahon. She was
the WWE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All this to say, she most likely all the other people below her, the ones that don't quit, it's all on her. She's going to run the policy and she's going to tell everybody else to do what they have to do. So it might not be everybody within the department. It just might be the most key influential people.
And again, you got to think about it. Departments are run by the people that move the paperwork.
Yes.
If my job is to stamp A and make sure the form is filled out, it doesn't matter who's in my boss. My job is the same. If my job is to make sure you get payments, that's my job. It doesn't matter who the fuck's in charge. My job is still make sure these people get their payments.
Yeah, good point. So now we're on to pillar 3 of Project 2025 is all about training. So you just hired a bunch of people, but now you got to get them ready and trained to know how the government works. So how do you think they're going to do that?
PowerPoint.
Yes. And they call it the Presidential Administration Academy. Do you have what it takes to change the government? Have you ever watched the news and thought, wow, I could do better than these bureaucrats? Well, now you can. Introducing the Presidential Administration Academy. That's right. The Heritage Foundation is offering an exclusive, high-powered training program designed for conservative warriors who want to take back the federal government. Think of it as basic training for political dominance.
It just works.
What you'll learn: how to dismantle progressive bureaucracy, say goodbye to outdated liberal policies, and hello to conservative efficiency. Mastering the art of executive orders. Learn how to reshape entire agencies with a single signature. Appointment and firing procedures. Who stays? Who goes? You decide. Conservative legal frameworks. Train with top legal minds to apply an originalistic interpretation of the Constitution. Some of our graduation perks. Earn your certificate of conservative leadership and gain VIP access to Project 2025 personnel database. That's right. Graduates, you'll be first in line for federal positions in future Republican administration. So where does it happen? Online, from anywhere.
Everything's a computer.
Exclusive in-person seminars in Washington, D.C. Personalized mentorship from conservative political leaders. But wait, there's more. Sign up now and receive early access to our Federal Power Playbook, your step-by-step guide to taking control of Washington in just 180 days. Act fast. Spots are limited. Don't sit on the sidelines. Become the government you want to see. Join the Presidential Administration Academy today. Call now or visit www.project2025.com to apply. What do you think about that?
Nice. Sounds like a Coursera for conservatives.
Is there a s'mores session?
No,
the end
but
of it?
there is rumored to have a chocolate fountain.
Oh, okay. I'm in. I'm in. Sold.
I'm in. And finally, Pillar 4, which is the 180-day playbook, a rapid takeover strategy. It's a detailed agency-by-agency plan of how to dismantle existing policies and install conservative reforms as quickly as possible. So the goal here is to prevent bureaucratic resistance by making changes so fast that the opponents can't even organize an effective response in time. It ensures immediate action on campaign promises, right? Guy goes in, says, this is what I want to do. They get it done fast. They usually use executive orders to maybe make these changes. It prevents deep state interference. Those pesky regulations and administrators, they can't get involved with this. And it can reduce unnecessary government spending and regulations. So many of these policies are looking to cut government programs that the conservatives view as wasteful. I guess the real question here is, does the president have this ability to make such drastic changes so quickly?
Specifically with the Trump administration, they are going to try to expand the presidential powers to, in my opinion, to new heights.
It's important to note that Project 2025 is not Trump's agenda.
Nothing to do with Project 2025.
Agenda 47 is totally different from Project 2025, but as we're seeing, there might be some big similarities.
Some of it is very good. Some of it's very mainstream, actually.
And some of the people in his office actually co-authored Project 2025. And some of the notable figures could include Chris Miller, is the former acting Secretary of Defense, Brendan Carr, who was nominated by Trump to lead the FCC, Tom Homan, also appointed as the border czar for the Trump administration. I'm sure you've seen him on the news. Russell Vought, which is the former director of Office of Management and Budget, who actually co-authored a few, or I think one chapter in Project 2025, and Peter Navarro, who is appointed as senior counselor for trade and manufacturing in Trump's administration. So even though it's two different things, there might be some integration from Project 2025's contributors into these key positions.
At this point, you're playing semantics. You're like, I'm not following Project 2025, but I hired a lot of people from it.
So technically it's different.
Come on. But is it really? You're just like,
No.
It's different.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Is that the same?
I think it's tomato.
Same, but different. But still same.
So what are the differences then? What has he articulated that's different? Or what have you found?
I think more than half of the stuff in Project 2025 can be found in Agenda 47. But I think some of the main differences are the radical, like very outlandish things that, like banning pornography, and there's some other things in there. But even Trump said that the Trump administration said that there was very radical ideas that they were not going to implement. I don't actually have a list of what's not in there.
So
it's a 900-page book.
Agenda 47 is Project 2025 light. Less calories.
The idea here from what I was reading is that when the Trump administration first got into office, DC is a very close-knit place, and they don't really take to outsiders. So to get a lot of the stuff done, you got to know people, you got to have the right people, you got to have your people in place. And that's difficult to do, especially when you're not coming from that industry or that.
Who are we talking about?
The Trump administration.
As not coming from that field? He was president for 4 years.
The first time.
Right. This is the second time we're talking
right.
about.
So I think the first time when he came in, he ran into some issues. People were giving him a hard time. So this time he comes in and he's ready. He's ready. He's got a whole playbook. He's got a list of ideas. He's got a structured program. And there are, a lot of conservative backing behind it that are going to be here to support him this time. So he doesn't make the same mistakes or, try to get what he wants done quickly.
I mean, he couldn't copy entirely. He had to change some, right?
I mean, Trump probably loves his porn, so. I mean, if he likes Russian hookers pissing on him, so.
Do we know that for sure?
Allegedly. If he allegedly loves golden showers.
I missed that episode of The Apprentice.
Showers!
So, what are your guys' key takeaways? Chris?
it's like I get it. It's like I understand that I like what they're trying to do, right? But is it possible though? Is it something that we could change right away, or something that we can implement like now and then it'll be good next year? Like, you know what I mean? Or is it something that is like a long-term plan where it's not just 180 days or 100 days? It's like it takes centuries. Or I mean, what we have, the government we have now is the product of the past, like, you know, all the years from George Washington, right? So I don't know. I mean, like, to me, it seems like just the idea, and then it's just something to just like talk about, to go over, whatever. But are they actually gonna work? I don't know.
Caesar?
Listen, from the outside looking in, this is a ingenious way to literally shape not only the government, but shape this country as you see fit. Where I differ is that there might be conservative policies that I don't agree with. Conservative policies that may not actually benefit anyone but them.
Victor?
George Bush does not care about black people.
Drop the mic.
Oh, God.
No. I think in general, this whole project, even if it is wrapped in a Trump steak package, sold at sharper image to us, I think that it's going to cause serious and an unknown amount of damage to the country that we've built, to the point where we probably, if we ever recover from it, will probably take more than our lifetimes to recover from. That being said, what we have isn't perfect. What we have needs a lot of improvement. To start dismantling it, I think, is the wrong direction to how to fix something.
So, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, X, and YouTube at I'm Not Dumb But, where we post extra fun content you may not find on the podcast. And before you go, hit that subscribe button, because you'll feel better. Trust me. Until next time, stay curious.
Later.
Deuces.
Everything's computer.